On December 16, 1971, 93,000 Pakistani soldiers formally surrendered in Dhaka. The document signed that afternoon marked the violent birth of an independent Bangladesh. Victory arrived alongside a staggering human toll. Over the preceding 9 months, an estimated 3 million civilians were killed, while 10 million others were forced into sprawling refugee camps across the border in India. The official West Pakistani defense has historically framed this mass death toll as an unfortunate byproduct of military necessity, collateral damage from an operation to suppress a political rebellion. However, declassified internal documents and forensic evidence tell a more deliberate story. These records reveal a paper trail of high-level military planning that predates the outbreak of open war. To understand how a nation lost half its territory in a 13-day collapse, we must investigate the secret instructions that authorized the systematic erasure of its own citizens. In 1970, Pakistan was split into 2 wings, separated by 1,600 kilometers of hostile territory. Despite deep cultural divides, during the 1970 democratic election, East Pakistan's Awami League won an absolute, undeniable majority in the National Assembly. The military and political elites in the West refused to cede power to the Bengali winners, effectively halting the democratic transition. Behind closed doors, President Yahya Khan made a racially charged vow, insisting he would never allow the East to rule. This political deadlock led to a calculated stage of polarization. The state began the systematic removal of every moderate military governor who advocated for compromise. These moderates were replaced by hardliners, specifically General Tika Khan, an officer already known as the Butcher of Baluchistan for his willingness to use extreme violence against civilians. By purging those seeking a political solution, the military leadership laid the operational groundwork for mass atrocities. In early March 1971, the military staged fake political negotiations in Dhaka. It was a decoy strategy designed to buy time for the secret deployment of thousands of additional troops. On March 18th, 2 generals quietly drafted a plan on a light blue notepad. They called it Operation Searchlight. It was the blueprint for an organized military crackdown. The instructions were explicit: treat Awami League supporters as rebels, disarm Bengali police units, and target the intellectual elite. This visualization maps an internal military document titled The Remedy. The text reveals the intent to target the Bengali identity, calling for total brainwashing and the extermination of those labeled as miscreants. The attack launched on the night of March 25. Before the first shots were fired, the military deported every foreign journalist in Dhaka to eliminate independent witnesses. The coordinated strike hit Dhaka University and civilian neighborhoods simultaneously. One Pakistani officer later described the moment as the opening of the gates of hell. By combining the documented plan for Searchlight with the extreme rhetoric of The Remedy, the campaign meets the formal criteria for a premeditated genocide. The military crackdown backfired immediately. Instead of cowing the population, it triggered the rapid mobilization of a massive guerrilla resistance known as the Mukti Bahini. Millions of traumatized refugees fled the violence, pouring across the Indian border and creating an unsustainable economic and humanitarian crisis for New Delhi. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi calculated that full-scale military intervention was the only way to stop the regional instability and allow the refugees to return home. The Indo-Pakistani War officially began in December 1971, sparked by a series of preemptive Pakistani airstrikes on Indian air bases. Caught between a local insurgency and the advancing Indian Army, the Pakistani Eastern Command collapsed. Total defeat followed in just 13 days. The military elite believed that extreme violence would cement their control. Instead, it structurally guaranteed the absolute loss of half their nation. The surviving paper trail of Operation Searchlight remains a permanent forensic record. It shows how the modern state can authorize and execute the destruction of its own people. The meticulous plan designed to violently erase the Bengali identity ultimately became the exact catalyst that forged the independent nation of Bangladesh.